Atelier Mais präsentieren die 23. Ausgabe vom Baden Masters, vom 17. bis zum 20. August. Zum Saisonauftakt treffen das Baden die besten Schweizer Göller auf die Weltelite. 20 Weltklasse-Teams, Nervenkitzel pur, der Kampf um jeden Millimeter, grosse Emotionen, einfach Görling-Weltklasse. Direkt vor der Haustür und am Freitag, 18. August auf Atelier Mais. Das Baden Masters wird präsentiert von Swisslos Sport von Aargau, V-Zug, einem Schweizer Haushaltsgerätehersteller, und Schop mit ihren Profis für Gartenbau, Spenglerei und Flachdach.
Good evening, curling fans. It is quarter-final stage here at Baden Masters 2023. We started off with 4 groups of 5 teams. At the conclusion of the round robin, teams are ranked 1 to 20 and the top 8 teams are still standing. And what a clash we have for you this evening. It is the all-conquering Italians. They are qualified here 4-0. Skipped by Retornaz and lost their first game, but really stepped on the gas after that. It is Kyle Waddell's team from Scotland. All 4 Scottish teams qualified. We will say hi to the teams and all the others on the ice shortly, and I am joined this evening, as we've had for the weekend. You can see him popping up there in the corner. It's Al Moore. Good morning to you, Al, in Canada.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Looking forward to this matchup. These 2 teams, of course, played before in the very first game with Retornaz winning, and we see they're off to a rather conservative start. By virtue of his 4-0 record, Joel Retornaz has won last stone in the first end. Waddell elected to throw it in. Retornaz not wanting to start any offense. He'd be happy to blank this end, hit that stone. So we've had a series of hits and some rollouts, but a series of hits by the teams, just trying to get the feel for the ice, and it looks like Retornaz is going to be very happy to start with a blank.
Looks like it. Everybody, just settling into this quarter-final, and while they do that, I can tell you who else is on ice. On sheet 1, we have James Craik's team from Scotland against local favourites, Brunner's team from Switzerland, from Baden here. On the static cam, on sheets 3 and 4, we have team Whyte from Scotland, also going through 4-0. They are up against Schwaller's team, the Swiss champions. That's on sheet 3. And finally, on sheet 4, we have the 4th team qualified from Scotland. So Gareth this afternoon, who was hoping Scotland can finish 1, 2, 3 and 4th place. It is possible. And over on sheet 4, sheet 4, we have Cameron Bryce's team from Scotland, and they are playing Magnus Ramsfjell's team from Norway. That is your 4 quarter-final games this evening. And as Al says, I think we are going to see plenty of action in the Saturday evening draw.
Yeah, it's win or go home right now, so they're playing for a fair amount of money, and winner check is sizable. And also points. Everybody's chasing points on the World Curling Tour. You want to get more points. Teams are trying to be ranked in the top 16, so they get invited into the Grand Slams, which are, of course, worth more points. Most of those Grand Slams held in Canada, but only the top 16 teams are eligible for those. Right now, Joel Retornaz is a fixture in that. He's ranked 5th in the world.
Yeah, as Al says, some good prize money. So the 4 losing quarterfinalists out there, they will nevertheless be able to console themselves with a nice prize of 1,500 Swiss francs, and that always helpful for next competition.
$2,000 I think.
It must be, yes. Yep, that sounds about right.
Swiss franc is doing nothing but gaining in value everywhere.
Well, good. When I first came, it was not like that. So do you think that victory in the first round, Al, for Retornaz's team, do you think that will be in the heads of Kyle Waddell's team? How do you think they will be managing that loss on the very first evening?
Not at all. This is just another game. You go through your processes, regardless of who you're playing against. Waddell's job is going to be, because he doesn't have last rock in the first end, he's maybe at a slight disadvantage. If everybody was to score 1 point each end, Returners would win this game. So somewhere along the line, Waddell's either going to have to steal an end or get a 2 and hold Returners to nothing but ones. So I'm sure both teams are expecting a tightly fought, perhaps low-scoring game, and it may come down to one shot or one half miss that decides who wins this game.
I think that's likely to be a very accurate prediction. If you joined us last year at this same stage, Joe Retornaz was again top of the pile. They again went through the round robin imperiously. 4 wins, 0 losses. And they ran up against Yannick Schwaller at this stage last year and had a terrific game, honestly. But Benny Schwartz managed to beat them really all by himself. So they will be relieved to avoid having to face Yannick Schwaller potentially at this stage in the competition. But guess who is facing Yannick Schwaller? It's Ross Whyte's team, who also had an imperious run to the quarterfinals last year, also going through 4-0, and they got knocked out by the young Norwegian team of HØstmaelingen. But currently they now have to get past Yannick Schwaller. However, Yannick Schwaller's team again playing with 3. Now, I investigated this at lunchtime. What has happened to Sven Michael? The good news is he's fine. And he is at the party. I was concerned that we might have lost him to the big festival happening in Baden. It's not quite that serious, but he is at a wedding today.
Yep.
So if you see only 3 people in Schwaller's team on sheet 3 on the static cam, that's why. They are playing without Sven Michael.
Nope.
And maybe that will be an advantage to Whyte.
Yeah, it should be. Sven's a great shooter and also a great brusher. And he adds a lot of valuable strategic input to that team. So he's a skip in his own right, and he's actually won this tournament twice by himself as skip.
Absolutely.
Back a number of years ago. So he's a big part of their team. So missing him will certainly be a tough struggle for Schwaller.
Yeah, 2011, 2012, Sven Michael was the skip of the team that won this competition, as Al says. And yeah, it's just a choice, isn't it? So you can play with 3, which is a bit tough because you're throwing that extra stone every end, extra sweeping, or you don't have your sweeping partner. But to bring in a 4th player or an alternate player that you're less familiar with, this is also a challenge. So they've decided that the lesser of 2 evils is to play with 3 of them.
Yeah, and this will test the physical abilities of this team with only 3 players. It's going to be really difficult physically for them to keep up. It's just, as you say, with one brusher doing all the work, there's no chance to take a little break.
Yeah, and I must say, I think, Al, this was overnight for you, but we watched Yannick Schwaller's team a bit earlier on today with the 3 of them, and they were up against James Craik's teams from Scotland. James had to win that game to qualify this evening, and it was a disaster for Yannick Schwaller's team. They were terrible. James Craik's team, on the other hand, were brilliant, winning a place in this quarter-final. So going with 3 players didn't go too well the last time for Yannick Schwaller. They will need a big improvement on that if they're going to get past unbeaten Ross Whyte.
Okay, so as we thought, this is exactly what Returners was looking for, a blank in the first end. So that gives him actually a little more advantage than he had starting the game. He now has last rock in the even ends, which is what you're looking for. So last rock in the even ends with a tied score is kind of what you're looking for. So blanking the first end is clearly a bit of an advantage for the team with last stone. So Returns to do that. I think you'll now see him take a little bit more of a chance to try and get a 2 score on the board. And on the other hand, Waddell will probably be throwing a guard this end instead of in the house, because he's going to try and want to force the issue a little bit.
Yeah, both teams, in a way, having a similar idea in that first end. Just keep things a bit conservative. Let's get a feel for the game, settle into the ice here. But yeah, now, as Al says, we'll potentially see more aggression from both sides. And that will look quite the reverse. So a lovely stone from
that's perfect.
Bar
That's
there,
exactly
yes.
where they wanted it.
We are playing the no-tick rule. And that means
stone
that we
cannot
can't
be
move
moved
that.
off the center line.
That's correct.
You can move it, but it's got to stay on the center line. So Retornaz has two options here. He could elect to go around that stone and be the first one into the top of the 4 foot or top of the 8 foot. Or he could throw a corner guard up, which is what he's called, and try and score his 2 by using that corner guard later on.
And in the chat today, we have Tom, who's been a stout supporter of Scotland, the Scottish teams all weekend. We have, of course, superfan Michaela. And we have Georgette saying hi from Nova Scotia. So good to see our Canadian friends tuning in.
So these teams will both know exactly what the other team's going to do. It's not going to be any surprises. It's going to be a matter of execution.
Do you think it will be a bit of a mental battle, Al? Or as you say, do you think both teams, they do their preparation, they rely on execution from here?
They rely on execution, although we have seen a couple of tactical errors. I thought tactical errors from a couple of these teams earlier. So Retornaz has an opportunity here. There's two options. He could try and tap that stone out of the house and roll wide open, probably forcing Waddell to hit it and then maybe use a corner guard, or he can freeze to it. He won't be shot rock, which is the risk he's taking. He's making a risk that he won't be shot rock, and Waddell will be guarding this if this is made, or freezing another one on top of it.
Yeah, we see this a lot more in the 5 rock rule because you have to wait that extra stone before you can start clearing things out. Sometimes we see this more now, this tactic of, yeah, let's just chase towards the centre before the centre gets all blocked up and it's almost too late for us to do anything about it. But yeah, just as Al said, Scotland quite happy with that. They're just going to chase that in and try and keep that scoring area as small as possible for Italy.
The problem with freezing right in here, they create a sandwich effect on the Retornaz stone. If Retornaz can hit the top stone, and his own stone won't be going anywhere. So the option here would be to throw a straight guard, which I like a little bit better, a straight guard on this one rather than coming right in, and force Retornaz to make the shot. So Retornaz now could hit that stone with, say, board weight. He's going to keep piling them in there and look for an opportunity to make a run back later on and hopefully leave a couple of his in. But his option would be to hit that stone with maybe board weight, save both the yellow one that's sandwiched there, take the back red one out of play, and sit first and third shot. He's going to keep piling stones one on top of the other and hope later on he can throw a bullet down here and remove a bunch of red stones and save all his yellows.
Board weight for our non-Canadian players, that translates to barrier weight if you're Scottish, and a controlled or slow takeout if you're anything else. So this looking a lot like a mixed doubles end at the moment, Al.
Yeah. So that didn't quite curl as far as they wanted. They wanted to actually freeze on that, so they've set a bit of a stagger now. So hitting that yellow stone, the red stone is still going to be shot. Waddell knows that, so he's going to throw another one on top of that. Again, I think a tight guard would be more pressure on your opposition than coming right in. Coming right in, there's going to be a heavy takeout made, or maybe a series of them. This could still end up being a blank. Believe it or not, this could still end up being a blank end.
Oh, we've certainly seen that.
With all the stones in close proximity, these guys can throw it hard enough to really make them fly.
Yeah, we have a fairly famous big throwing arm coming up. In fact, two, the middle order of Italy, Land of the Giants, both with huge levers. They wanted that to curl. They're not getting the curl they expect. They want those to curl more so they're overlapped on the instead of the outside. So now Joel can hit this front redstone almost on the nose
take out 2 reds and perhaps save 3 yellows, and there'll be just a lonely Scottish cherry redstone sitting on the 4-foot.
That sounds nice if you're a Team Italy fan, which of course I am.
Otto.
So we're only on seconds last stone, and now we're getting into the big hit. It's a little tight on line. A lot tight on line. That was a good foot inside.
But that's not a terrible result, Al. Removing that centre guard, that helps Italy a little bit.
Kyle could come in and stir them around a little bit, or he could throw a guard, but he's got to get the guard in the right place. I think he's trying to guard
that middle red.
half of the red one on the outside, I think, or just bite the center line and try and guard both shots simultaneously. But I think I don't think he has to guard the.
Where is it? Mark then. Straight curl, Mark.
That reminds me, we haven't said hello to the teams yet.
Keep going, Mark. Keep going.
I will see what shot is coming here. If it's going to be a pistol, I'll wait a minute. Is it coming yet? No, another more gentle weight coming, so I will quickly tell you who we're watching. Throwing yellow stones. It is the mighty Italians. Skip and fourth is Joel Retornaz. Third, Amos Mozzaner. Second, Sebastiano Arman. Lead thrower is Mattia Giovanella. Throwing red stones for Scotland. Fourth and skip is Kyle Waddell. Third, Craig Waddell. Second, Mark Taylor. And lead thrower for Scotland, Gavin Barr. And yes, the Waddles are brothers. We've got a lot of brothers, cousins, famous relatives out there.
Curling is a real family sport. And
it really is,
seems that once one member, one parent gets involved, then all the kids are involved, and brothers and sisters, and on it goes.
Yeah, mixed doubles is particularly popular with husbands and wives, actually. I think because you kind of have a ready-made team there. Who is going to blink first in this second end?
Very much, yep.
Everybody just cautiously putting another stone in the front there, but as Al says, at some point, someone is going to have to take a run at this pile.
Well, they've taken a couple of runs, but they haven't been as accurate as they would like to have been. So they haven't quite positioned the stones where they actually want them.
Yeah.
Good news on the other sheets, though. If you're a Scotland fan, James Craik's team have put a big 2 on the board. They stole 2, in fact, I think, against Michael Brunner's team. Cameron Bryce's team have also put a big 2 on the board in the first end against Magnus Ramsfjell. So Gareth from earlier on, his dream of a Scotland 1, 2, 3 and 4, it's still on.
No, there's a very good shot. Finally, they get one position exactly where they want. And now using the drag effect, and Joel understands the drag effect, it makes the second stone in order go perhaps a little different way than most people expect. If they hit this red stone on the board side, they'll double that out, but in fact the yellow stone will go straight backwards onto the other yellow stone. It won't go to the right as it appears. So you draw a line from this throw-in stone through the middle of the second stone to figure out the direction that it's going to go. So if he hits a half of that top stone, the shooter will go over onto the other yellow stone and probably stay in the house. The back yellow stone will go onto the second yellow stone and take the red out, and all the yellows will stay, and there'll be one lonely red stone in the house. So he's trying to hit this about half a stone on the board side,
Let's hope
the outside of the sheet.
Let's hope that that's exactly what Italy were discussing. The first of surely many Italian committee meetings this game.
And there's a bullet from Amos Mosener. He's hit that too much on the
Not quite.
nose.
Yep. He's found
So
a
he's hit
decent
that on the
result,
nose and lost one of his yellow stones.
but he does now have 2 in play. And difficult for Scotland to do something about both of them at once, I would think.
Yeah. Well, through normal like there and it got to the nose the last end, It's a lot less than that.
If you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. We're at quarter-final stage here in Baden Masters 23. We are watching the mighty Joel Retornaz's team from Italy playing one of 4 Scottish teams in 4 quarter-finals. It is Team Kyle Waddell.
Waddell will be trying to hit the center line side of this red stone. He wants to roll his shooter right to the center line so he protects the stones on the center line and removes the yellow stone at the top of the 12-foot.
No! Yep! Yep! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Do you like the sound of this?
Well, he played it the other way. He,
Another way to make it.
as you just heard him say, that's another way to make it. He hit the outside of that stone and ran the red one in. He was hoping his shooter would roll there, but that's kind of the result he was looking for at the end of the day.
It's given the
So
Italians a
they're
bit of a
having a
problem.
Yeah, I think the teams are having a little trouble reading the ice at this point. I can't tell when they're sliding on target really, but they've missed some takeouts by a half stone or more on many of these shots, both teams.
This ice is very curly. Jamie, our ice master from Canada, Jamie has been really working hard to prepare World Championship quality ice, and that is swingy ice. So if you don't put a lot of rotation on your stone, and if you're from the 1980s like me, then you typically don't, then you need to smarten up, or indeed you find you start missing takeouts too much.
You'll find all these teams are throwing about 5 rotations. The other thing that you'll notice is they take very little ice for takeouts with heavy weight. Anything more than barrier or board weight and lots of rotations run very, very, very straight. And so the only way you're going to get rotation on a takeout is to throw hack weight. So I think these teams have been taking maybe a little too much ice for some of their shots.
Let's hope they've learned. First throw of the second end for Joel Retornaz. It's the Italians who still have last stone in the second end, hoping to make good use of the hammer.
Okay, non è male lì,
He's left a double, basically a nose hit for Waddell. Waddell hits this right on the nose. He'll just thin by the red stone and catch the back one. Alternatively, he could hit his own red stone, as Craig is just pointing out, and sit 2. So I have to figure out which one's got more margin for error, which one's easier. I think the red onto the yellow is the easier shot, personally. I think Craig's right. We got more room for error. We can hit the red stone and roll over to the side and sit 2.
That sounds like we're thinking exactly the same lines there. Oh, we'll just hide Al in the corner there. We're hiding Al so that we don't miss any of the players out there.
Kyle's worried that if he plays the red, his shooter will roll up into a position where he leaves a double takeout for Toole, for returner. So he's going to opt for the more precise shot of the double, very precise. There's probably about half a centimeter where you can hit this and make it. If you miss that half centimeter, you're going to leave return as a shot for 2. On the other side, you've probably got 4 or 5 centimeters of stone to hit to sit to, but you will leave a double takeout for Retornaz. That's the
Big shot
decision
then.
that the skips have to make.
Yeah, big shot then for Kyle Waddell. How much can he limit
Carl,
the Italians'
whoa,
opportunity to score 2?
Whoa!
He's made it.
Beautifully.
So that was incredibly precise. Now again, there's a blank opportunity for Retornaz. He'd have to throw a very big weight, hit this stone just off the nose, and take them both out and roll his shooter out. That's the hard part, is rolling the shooter out of play.
Indeed, yeah.
The double's not so hard, but rolling the shooter out of play
For
is
these
tough.
guys, yeah. Those stones are looking very tasty for a double, but indeed, Italy, they will want to roll out, keep that last stone advantage going into the third end.
So I think worst case scenario here for Retornaz is that he hit and sticks for 1. He'd be up 1 after even ends, and that would be okay with him. Would also be okay for Waddell, who he'd finally get the chance with last rock in the third end. So we'll see how hard Retornaz throws this. The harder he throws it, the more he's trying for a blank, and it's coming down the ice in no time.
And that is quite a rocket, but it is going to hit and stick. So a minor slip up.
That was always the danger, and I know Joel did not want to miss the back stone and
Exactly.
leave Waddell one, so I think he thought all the way down the ice that the chances of blanking that end were slim. So taking one, Waddell's done his job. Joel's probably satisfied to be up 1 after even ends. I wouldn't say he's ecstatic, but he's satisfied with the result.
Yeah, first things first, we didn't want to give up a steal there. But yeah, I think I agree, Al, that Kyle Waddell and his team, I think they'll be satisfied with their end as well. They've now got last stone back again, or in fact they have last stone now for the first time this game. Let's see what they do with it going into end 3.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that they're going to be relatively aggressive. They know that they have to get 2 points somewhere in this game, and 8 ends goes by very quickly, and you're only going to have 3 or 4 chances. He may only have 3 chances with last stone, seeing as the first end was blank, so he may only have the 3rd, 5th, and 7th end with last stone, so he's only going to get 3 chances, so he has to make the best of them. Team Retornaz has already had 2 chances with last stone, and they've only got 1 point to show for it. So they're going to get probably the 4th, 6th, and 8th ends. What the teams are kind of looking ahead in their minds, how's this game going to go? So Retornaz says, well, I'm okay, I'm up 1. He's got to come and get me. But by the same token, I'm going to play a little more aggressively because I'd really like to be 2 ahead.
Top 8, Gav.
So as Mattia found the centre line, he has. Mattia's sock game exemplary as usual, and he has found that centre line. Cannot tick that shot.
They'd like that one a little closer to the house. Now Waddell has 2 options. He could throw a corner guard. He could draw into the back of the house, which would be ultra conservative, forcing Retornaz to hit it and then go around the center guard on his second one. But he's going to go around the center guard on his first stone and try and force the issue. So he doesn't want the stone any deeper than top 8 foot.
Sweeper standing off it.
Deep,
I wonder if that means it
deeper
is
than
going
top
deeper than
8.
8 foot.
Mark, Carl.
Deeper than top 8 foot would allow Retornaz to freeze it.
Whoa,
You'll
whoa,
see how much finished curl there is in the ice at the end.
13,
And that's
6, I
not,
think I got.
if they flip the house around, it'd be perfect. But unfortunately, he's at the wrong side of the 8 foot here.
They have found the back of tee instead of front of tee, and Joel and Retornaz immediately indicating to chase that stone in.
Yeah. That stone's never going to count a point. Yeah, that was a big mistake. Probably in top championship curling, he'd probably get 0 for that.
I think these days you would, yes, because it just doesn't help, really. It only helps your opposition in that way.
And club curling, you might be ecstatic to get a stone there. But
Absolutely, in club
here
curling,
when,
this could easily count.
But you'll see that that Yellowstone right in front of it, you know that it's never going to count now. So now Waddell doesn't really want to freeze here. He's going to. He kind of feels like he's forced to. As a result of that first stone, you know, missing by so much, he's now forced into a freeze game. He really doesn't want to be playing this game because he knows what's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of stones on the button, and he's not going to have anywhere to go on his last one. If he freezes on this stone and Retornaz freezes back, Retornaz' stone is going to be right on the button.
It's Scotland who have last stone for the first time in this game, and being sucked in a little bit, as Al says, almost feeling obliged to play now towards the centre.
Yeah, and that's what the no-tick rule was designed to do.
Just keep going. Come on. Good. That's fine. Good sweep.
Oh, and before I forget, gang,
it's going to be it.
Good job.
before I forget, at the end of end 4, contain yourselves. It's halftime trivia. You will get a new QR code popping up at some point during the 4th end, and then scan that QR code to get into the quiz room, and we shall have, I'm not sure which team it is, I will try to find out, but we shall have getting to know one of the teams in trivia quiz at halftime.
8-9.
Our trivia quiz has been almost as competitive as the curling here. It's been so popular, trivia.
It has.
We've had several folks on the podium.
Waddell's probably sitting in his mind, how did I get into this? I don't really want to be playing this style of game.
Yep.
But he's been forced into that from his Leeds very first stone.
Mm-hmm.
He
And that was a
forced
fine
into
shot.
this mess, and Retornaz is very happy to play this style of game. He knows he's just
definitely.
cutting down the scoring area so much.
That was a fine shot from Ramma, second thrower for Italy. Now they're ahead of T.
Top 4. Just by
And
the
indeed,
4-foot,
Kyle
boys.
Waddell,
Line's good.
his life not getting any easier
We're all tight of line.
to try and score
Hard
multiple
line.
points with Hammer in this third end.
Hard.
Well, the amount of finish that they have to read on these shots.
Whoa, no. Okay.
Scotland's still lying 1 here, but it's getting very cluttered around the button area.
Difficult for Scotland to work a second point at the moment, I think.
You can tell by the body language of Waddell at the back there, he's really not happy with how this is going. He just sees that he's getting 1 point this end, and it's going to be almost impossible to score 2.
They may just have to take their medicine at this end, Scotland, and say, oh yeah, we slipped up a little bit there, and we're just going to have to accept taking 1 point, level the scores, start again.
4, 5. 4.
That sounds like exactly the right way for Ramma. Well, it slipped into the house, but I quite like it where it is there.
Like that.
Waddell's going to try and corner freeze the top yellow one so he can get at it later on. As he said, running the guard doesn't improve the situation at all. So they're going to try and corner freeze the top yellow stone, maybe get a stone half and half so later on he can hit it and score this particular stone here.
And I can finally give us an update for sheet 3. The boys so concentrated on their game that nobody was putting up the score, but again, good news for Scotland fans. In the third end of the game on sheet 3, that's Ross Whyte against Yannick Schwaller. It was 1 to Schwaller in the first end. It was 2 to Ross Whyte in the second end. So it is 2-1 to the Scots. They're in their third end.
He's just chucking out there with no rotation. He's chucking out there with no rotation nicely, and it's just completely different.
James Craik continues to lead Michael Brunner over on sheet 1. That was a score of 1 for the Swiss in the second end. So Craik in the third end with last stone advantage again, leading 2 points to 1. And over on sheet 4, Cameron Bryce's team, they picked up 2 in the first end, but the Norwegians of Magnus Ramsfjell, they came straight back and get 2 in the second end. Their score is 2 each.
Retornaz is looking at saying that Waddell has a draw off to the edge of the button for 2. Very difficult, but it's there. They'd like to take everything away. So they're looking at either making a play on the top red stone, but I don't know if that accomplishes anything. I think if they throw a guard on the button, guarding the path to the button, now they're looking at can he get there the other way.
Nothing much for Scotland to do at that point.
There is space. The way the stones finish on this ice, there's so much curl at the end. There is room to get around those stones at the top of the 8-foot and get to the button. It has to be absolutely precise to outcount the Retornaz shot.
Let him try.
But this is what they're trying to take away right now. They're saying, well, which shot has he got? Which shot should we try and take away? And I think they're trying to get there themselves. Now, I don't think they're trying to guard the path. I think they're trying to get right into the edge of the button themselves.
That's a bold call.
Yeah, the option here would be just to guard the path to that button on the shot that you think that Waddell might be able to make. And there's, of course, both ways. They think he can get there both ways. They think maybe this in-turn side is the easier one. But rather than guard the path, they're trying to get in there themselves, I believe.
Well, we did say this was looking a bit like a mixed doubles end again. And look who you've conveniently got throwing. It is the Olympic champion at mixed doubles. So maybe they're very confident that the big guy can slot one round the back of everything.
This is over curl, so it's... but you'll see how much curl is, so definitely, that was a brand new pass, so I was a little surprised they played that. They hadn't. That's the first time they played out there, and so the pebble would have been a little fresher out there, and they didn't really know much the ice was going to curl. Never really want to show your opposition the path. You don't want to play a new path and let your opposition see it, and you have to play it. So now that Kyle Waddell has seen that path, he might be able to play that himself.
Same conversation now in reverse from the Scots. I don't like trying to get there before him, says Kyle. But is that the best idea? It's Scotland with the last stone. Otherwise, they may find themselves with a really tricky shot to try to make 2 points here in the third end.
Well, if they guard one side and Retornaz guards the other side, there's no way anybody's going to get into the button. So I think they have to make a play to try to get in there. Either that or start removing some of those stones in front.
I don't think these move. Well, it may depend where you hit it. It might clip that, but it's not going out.
They're looking at the front yellow, onto the yellow into the house, onto the red, onto the yellow at the top of the 4-foot.
Golly.
So yellow, yellow, red, yellow is what they're looking for, I believe.
The yellow on the far right of our screen.
Yeah, I think they're trying to hit the yellow onto the yellow and then run it back into the house. So making contact with about 4 rocks here would be the perfect shot. But even double peeling the 2 yellows is a difficult shot. However, if he should hit that first yellow correctly and get it onto the second yellow and get it going back into the house, probably only good things can happen. And this will be one of those 6-second takeouts. that these guys are all capable of throwing.
He's just got the one, I think, yeah.
Fine.
After all that discussion.
And after all the discussion where their
That's
stones
fine,
were all
Craik.
going to go when they hit them, he only hit the top one. So I don't think that changes much for Retornaz. I think there's still the 2 draws available. And I think you'll see Joel trying to get in there again on the intern, now that they've read one.
It's good. That's fine.
And looking at all the possible hits that Team Waddell might try, saying has he got
Plenty of
anything
angles
here?
there.
It's a bit of a cat and mouse game. What is your opponent going to do? What can we do to make things difficult for him or prevent him from doing the shot that he likes? So they're trying to figure out where all these stones would go if there's a hit.
Yep. The Italians averaging a committee meeting every couple of stones at the moment, but there are a lot of stones in play, and there's always a risk when there's loads of stones in play like that. Yeah, if you get your angle absolutely right or indeed absolutely wrong, then you can suddenly end up looking at a hatful.
There are no time clocks here and no timeouts. The teams are expected and been asked to play at a relatively speedy pace.
They're doing okay. They're doing okay. Yeah, they're just about. They've got a minute left technically for end 3, and I think everyone's just about up to time. The game of sheet 3's dragging a bit, but
so they're going to move those stones in the front around a little bit. They're playing back ring weight, and they're trying to maybe push the top yellow onto their own red, and
Back line.
the red and push
Back
the
line.
red on the back and leave their yellow stone
line.
in front.
Back line, stappa.
switches up the angles, just bumps that.
I think that was the
yellow.
result they're looking for.
Bumps that yellow into short position.
A career in snooker would be good now. Knowing where all the balls are going to fly when you hit them.
Yeah.
And of course, snooker balls do not react quite the same as curling stones do.
Good point. You can't sort of put a backspin. Well, you sort of can on a curling stone, but not in such a reliable way.
Also they're flat on the bottom, and they have a different kind of surface as opposed to a round ball. So you can influence the direction the stone can go a little bit by where you hit it.
So here comes Kyle, Kyle's brother Craig, come up for a powwow. This third end taking on huge importance in this game.
So many stones
looking
they
at all
can
the
hit.
angles. Exactly, yeah.
And they're trying to set up for not this shot, but for maybe a shot or two down the road. So he's looking at making a double on the two yellows and leaving his red right there, and then he'd have 2 or 3 reds in front to maybe angle into that yellow stone. He's going to try and double out the 2 yellows, leave his red shooter right there, and hopefully use it on a later shot to get yellow off the button.
That's the plan.
Of course, at the back of the house, Joel Retornaz and his vice skip, Mattia Giovanello, who throws lead rocks, and vice skip, their brains are turning too and says, well, if he makes this, what are we going to do?
Right. They can already picture it in their heads. They'll already be thinking. I think that's almost exactly what, is that a shooter rolled a wee bit far, but that's pretty much what they said, isn't it?
I think they wanted that red shooter. They wanted to hit the first one a little bit thicker and leave the red out in front of the Yellowstone so they could angle it back. It spun in behind the Yellowstone. And if they hit that other red on the outside, it's going to go onto the
jam. Yeah, they did want that shooter. Wanted that shooter to just sit ahead of Timor.
So I think Team Retornaz is going to try and freeze one right in there on top of it. Anywhere from freeze to 8 foot. The top 4 foot, if it go right in, that's okay too. It's going to take at least, I think, 2 shots to get that yellow off the button. And
oh gosh, yeah. Look at that for an angle, yeah.
And Team Waddell only has 2 shots left.
That yellow is locked on that position. And yeah, Joe Retornaz with a bit of space to play here to just frustrate Scotland.
I think you would like this one right down to the top 4 foot.
Linea buona. Linea buona. Sempre ramo davanti. Sempre ramo davanti.
Everybody fairly happy with it.
Linea. Oh. Aspetta. Oh. Vamos. Vamos. Solo se seca. Linea ok. Line. Yo. Oh. Oh. Okay. Vabbè, tiro.
Well, no good out of that, Scotland.
That's Joel's bread and butter shot, I believe. Drawing the button, I mean, he does it over and over and over again.
Yep.
And you have to be careful leaving him that draw to the button. That's what he makes.
Tol 14-2, ma lo tol mai però. Quello che fa confusione quando c'è tempo, la nero come vedrai.
Oof, well, I hope we don't go through 8 ends of this. This is taking about 20 minutes for this end. We might do though, team. It's a very high possibility. We've got nowhere else to be this Saturday evening.
You want to get it going that way, not straight onto the red, Craig.
He's going to be throwing this rocket down the ice. He's trying to hit a half of the top Yellowstone, drive it onto the red, drive it onto the other yellows, and stir him around so that he has something on his last shot. Right now, he's got no way to score. So he's just looking now for a way to score. He's not thinking 2 anymore. He's just throwing, I got to get something open so I can score with my last one.
So a huge push out from Kyle Waddell.
Yep.
Kyle Waddell, also a world champion. He's alternate for Bruce Mowat's team. He is the reigning world champion as well.
He stirred him around a little bit, but he's left Team Retornaz still sitting too, guarded. He didn't hit that exactly where he wanted to, over curled.
What about the same shot, Al?
Double.
What if Joe Retornaz played exactly the same shot?
And I think that's what you'll see Joel Retornaz do, exactly the same shot.
If you just bumped that yellow, that same handle, the clockwise handle, if you just bump that yellow forward again to cover the pin.
What they're worried about is the run back. They're worried about the run back on the redstone, being able to double out the yellows. So if he was to come around that redstone, say top of the 8 foot, all it would leave, Waddell would have a out-turn draw to the button. And should he fail to hit a good chunk of the button and give up a steal of 2. So you see they're looking at locking that run back. Anywhere on that path. Top 8 foot, right to top 4 foot. Now they're looking at, can he get something off this side red one? And I think they thought, well, he probably couldn't get shot. I don't think he can get shot off that side red one. They're going through all the options right now, trying to make sure they don't leave Team Waddell something that they might not have seen. So they're just surveying the situation.
Yes. We saw that from Ross Whyte's team earlier on. The game was really theirs already. The Norwegians having a bit of a horrible game out there. But yeah, Scotland professionally running through all the options, every single stone. Highly respectful of their opposition always. never taking the game for granted. Every stone they take seriously. And same with these Italians.
This call surprises me a little bit. They're going to hit their own yellow stone. Maybe a quarter on the outside, which will take out the red stone at the back of the button and also take out the red stone on the side.
Aha. This would not be my first choice, no.
I thought, Joel's strength is a draw, and I think maybe they're trying to sit 3 or 4.
Hi. Hi.
Really trying to make it
panic.
Ooh,
fancy.
Hit a little bit thinner than he wanted, but I think he's got the result pretty well, and that
No chance for
Waddell.
2 now. Is there?
Well,
Some sort of raised triple? I don't think so, no, not at this stage.
there would be a raised triple, but really dangerous. If you miss, you give up a 3, and the game would be
Well,
virtually
exactly,
over.
yeah. If it was the 8th end, by all means have a run at it, but yeah, I think that would be
So he's got to
a
draw to the
ridiculous
button.
idea
Not,
now.
yeah, he's got to draw to the button. Not easy at all.
Not at all. He
He's
has
got
to
to be absolutely
biting that
precise
button,
on
hasn't
this
he?
one. Biting the button, and he's gone a little bit wider than we've seen, so it's a little bit maybe a new path out there to start. You'll see there might be a little bit of fresh pebble, might place a little doubt in his mind. Be really trying to get a good call from the brushers about what is the speed out here. Can I throw the same weight as I threw before?
All you boys, line's good.
So he
Line's
says, all
nice.
you boys, lines, now heard lines tight.
You think? He does grab that curl big at the end. And, oh, this is going to need every inch, boys. Every inch. Oh, no! Oh, gosh.
Yeah, as I said, it was a little bit of a brand new path out there, and I don't think the brushers really knew what it was, and I don't think Waddell was really knew it was. It probably grabbed a little bit of fresh pebble early in its path.
And nobody panicked, did they?
Slowed down.
Nobody jumped on
nobody
it there,
panicked.
yeah. It just kind of put its little brakes on. Yeah, I think that seemed to surprise everybody
I'm
that
not
it just
sure-
stopped
I'm
there.
not sure the team had a good discussion at the hack about what that path was all about, because he probably needed another meter or so of speed on it
Yes.
to get it there.
Just to hold that line a bit as well. Well, goodness me, look at that for a score. The unflappable Italians. They have really put the foot down here. They put big pressure on the Scottish boys in that end 3. So much chat
Big
between the
uphill
teams.
battle.
So many stones in play. And yes, exactly, Scotland have given themselves a bit of a mountain to climb now.
I think it might have been prudent for Scotland to peel guards easier when that first stone. And it's amazing. Go back and look at that in, and how did that happen? The first stone went to the back of the 8 foot.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, everything
You know,
came
the
from
first stone went to the
that
back of
first
the
stone.
8 foot, and the end was a disaster after that.
Simply
So,
put, yes.
You can't say, oh, the skip missed a shot or the third missed a shot.
Not really.
That Leeds first shot at the back of the 8 foot really, really hurt.
It put them on the back foot, didn't it, for the whole end there. Then they allowed Italy to really dictate what was happening. And the result is a huge steal of 3 and pretty difficult to get points back against the Italians. They're very good front runners, this Italian team. Well, let's see how our other Scotland teams are doing.
Line.
Over on sheet 1.
Line's all tight.
James Craik's team from Scotland, they picked up another point in the third. They are 3-1 ahead over Switzerland's Michael Brunner,
You can go, like.
the vice Swiss champions. On sheet 3, that was a score of 1 to Yannick Schwaller's 3-man team this evening. Sven Michael at a wedding today. So the 3 of them, they picked
And-
up a
and
point,
just for
but it
those-
is all square.
Just for those interested, he's not at his own wedding.
I did wonder, but no, it's our wedding, not his wedding. And then over on sheet 4, Cameron and Bryce. We haven't seen a lot of them. They haven't really been on the live stream apart from the 8 o'clock draw when we're all still asleep. But Cameron and Bryce just quietly going around demolishing everyone this weekend, and they are 4-2 ahead. They're in the 4th end, playing Norway's Magnus Ramsfjell.
So Italy's going to take or Retornaz is going to take I think they wanted that stone in the house.
Yeah, they don't really need anything short, do they?
Joel's looking at the stone to see if it's touching the center line, but I don't think it's of any concern to Waddell.
Interesting.
He's
I'm
going to
not
throw
sure
another
how we
corner
do that.
guard anyway.
Yeah, but if Kyle Waddell did want to take that shot and Joe Retornaz or the Italian team said, no, we believe it's touching the line, then I think we would have to involve the chief umpire. There isn't an instrument yet to decide if a stone is touching the line or not.
They come out with a square, I believe, and they put a square on the center line and move it to see whether it's touching the stone. And I think that's a new tool that I've seen the umpires use at World Curling Championships to determine whether the stone's on the line.
I did wonder,
They come out with a little triangle-shaped square, and they put it right on the center line and see whether that stone's touching.
Not needed for that particular shot. Indeed, Scotland have no choice really but to go all out aggressive.
Yeah, they're throwing two corner guards, and see Giovanella's in the house calling this shot. Joel's gone for a bit of a break. Be back shortly, I presume.
Well, I'm sure Joel has not said to himself, my job here is done, so I'm just taking myself off the ice. I'm sure he's just going to get a bottle of water or a bio break.
Well,
they're going to be trying to go right in the house with this one.
Why not?
Freeze the one that's there.
Yep.
Why not? If Scotland want to score anything, they have to do something about both of those yellows now and try to bring those the corner guards into play.
Yeah, in the early ends here, Italy's been much more the precise team.
Yes.
Than has Kyle Waddell's team.
Still plenty of ends left though. We're only just approaching the halfway. They just need to really focus Scotland. We need to get every stone 4 out of 4 from here.
They don't need to get it all back now. A 2 would be a start. Give up a couple of 1s and get a 2 in the 8th end to tie it and maybe steal the extra end.
There you go.
We're looking to get 2 and steal 1, get 2 and get 2, give the opposition 1, get 2, give the opposition 1, and then do it a few times and tie it up in the 8th end.
It's certainly doable, but we've seen how hard it is to get even an opportunity for 2 against these big teams, and oh dear.
Yeah, you'll see that they just haven't quite got the speed of the ice.
Not really, have they? And you can see all of these boys out there, they've all been in the gym all summer. They are fit and ready to go, but even with those big powerful sweepers, a few Scottish stones coming up short this evening.
Now Retornaz played on this sheet back on his third game of the event, and he did play with yellow stones, so he knows the stones really well. And when he played Lucas HØstmaelingen on this sheet, and we saw a couple of stones on the red perhaps come short, and maybe there's a stone or 2 on the red side that's not quite as speedy, and maybe the Scots haven't picked that up yet.
Well, we discussed this a little bit this morning, Al, while it was overnight in Canada, and I wondered if it may be something to do with the stones. However, this morning's draw, when James Craik's team really demolished Yannick Schwaller's team, who were all over the place this morning, and Team Craik, they were playing red. So it shouldn't be anything to do with the stones, let's say that. James Craik's team managed to win with red.
There could be stones, but Team Craik may be able to manage the stones. Maybe they figured out the stones that were an issue.
That's a good point,
Gave them to
they managed it
gave
better,
them to the lead, and the lead managed to make shots with them. I mean, it's two things you have to do with stones. You have to manage and find out which stones are a little bit different. And then you have to figure out how to make shots with those stones.
That's an excellent point.
You don't just give it up and say, well, we can't win, we got bad stones.
Oh, no.
Say, no, we found the bad stones, let's make some shots with them. So maybe we'll give them a little bit more push, remind the sweepers that this is the one that's a little bit slower, so be aware that it's going to slow down quicker. I'm going to throw it a couple meters heavier. I'm going to put more rotation on it. So maybe Team Craig did a great job of doing that this morning? I don't know, but I noticed we've seen before.
That's a very valid thing to say,
Some
yes.
red stones have come short. And I've noticed in my travels, there are some very high-level teams that you would expect would know how to manage stones, have a lot of difficulty with them. So it's a real skill that not every top-level team does that well.
That's an interesting point.
4, 4, 5. 4. 4.
And if that is true, then life not getting any easier for Kyle Waddell's team from Scotland.
4.
If there are maybe a couple of difficult stones to manage in the red set,
4.
they're going to have to deal with that
And
as well as grabbing back some points.
Yeah, and they may not even know. A lot of teams go in and say, well, the stone's been groomed, they'll be perfect. Well, not. If a stone has a tendency to be slower, whether it's groomed or not, it will be slower.
Oh, here's a fun question from superfan Michaela in the chat. She said, all things equal, so let's say the stones really are perfect. Which stones do you prefer to throw, red or yellow? Well, Michaela, I would prefer to throw red if I have red rings, because then very slightly, but it could be slightly more difficult to clearly see a red stone on a red ring rather than a yellow stone on a red ring. What do you think, Al? Would you have a preference if all the stones were perfect?
All the stones are perfect. I never throw number 7. And I'm a skip. I never throw number 7 and 8. I assume that there's issues, and I found that I always start with stones 3 and 4 for myself. I let the lead throw 7 and 8, whether they're good or bad. And as far as color goes, I prefer yellow because I think they're more visible. And I don't know, they feel lighter in my hand.
It all
lighter
helps, doesn't
colour.
it? Absolutely, it all helps if that's your thing. If you believe that, it's going to help.
I think the yellow are more visible from the far end.
Well,
I think they're more visible.
funny wise, that's exactly what I'm thinking, but in reverse. Maybe I'm too defensive minded. I'm thinking I'm going to throw red because I don't want the opposition to be able to see them easily. Whereas Al's the more
I
more
want to
aggressive.
see where mine are.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see where mine are.
That's an interesting look into our psyches there. Thanks for that fun question, Michaela. If you have any more questions or if you want to say hi in the chat, everybody's welcome here. So that red stone, is that getting a little bit dangerous now for Italy? The Scots working hard to get something in this end, but still a couple of yellows out front.
Yeah, yellow still sits shot. There is a double takeout on the yellow ones. Not sure what Retornaz has decided to do here. Not sure if he knows what he's decided to do here.
This looks like a don't hold back.
Looks like a straight run back.
I think the straight run back, exactly, yep. And who better for it than the giant Olympic champion, Amos Mazaner. He's almost over the hog line by the time he's even kicked off.
He's a big guy. I think he's 6'5".
And confirm he is ginormous. Sprays everything. Really nice shot from him.
Yeah, big speed. These rocks, when they hit the hitting surfaces, the hitting bands on these stones are a little bit narrower than they were 25 years ago. So when they hit, they really fly. In the old days, the hitting bands were flat and wider, and it took a lot to get two stones out of play. Now they're a little bit convex, a little bit rounded, and so the actual striking part is maybe only 2 to 2.5 centimeters, maybe a bit more, 3 centimeters.
Did not know
And
that.
so when they hit, they fly.
What a lovely fact. And I think,
Yeah,
these big boys,
modern
they can't
stones-
half throw them.
yeah. Modern stones are actually not as heavy as they used to be either. Nowadays, 40 to 44 pounds.
That sounds right, yeah, it's
These
about 20 kilos.
These curling stones are probably only about 18 kilos, 19 kilos, and the handles weigh almost nothing.
That's a good point. The handles were used to be a lot chunkier.
Yeah, handles used to have a big metal handle and a big bolt going through. They still have the bolt going through
I hope so.
the center to hold the handle on, but the plastic handle weighs almost nothing itself.
Same thing I run in this, like it's going to have.
So the stones are slightly under 40 pounds, or maybe 18 and a half, 19 kilos.
I mean, you're not rolling that in.
Oh, we have BL subs back in the chat. BL subs, I do like their sense of humour, and they say they like to play red stones because it allows me to make some more puns. My team is well read, or what a ridiculous shot. I like your style, BL subs.
And I guess they're always ready to play.
Oh, I like it. If you have a favourite pun, tell us.
One thing that's important when there is time clocks is that the players don't want to be rushing around in the last end because their time clocks are low. So being ready to play in the hack as a player is really important.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever colour you are playing, be ready to play. Especially at the club, because then you have a game clock that's ticking down for everyone.
Whoa, straight.
That's nice from Scotland. But how much can they see of that red? Can they still see it?
For some reason, I don't know why.
I think the way the ice curls and the fact that that guard is quite long, there may be a corner covered, but I think Joel can see at least.
I think they can
half
see
to
about half at
three-quarters of
least.
that stone.
Yeah, half to 3/4.
And he doesn't have to stick here. He just has to make it go away. He's got a couple other biters in the house. As long as he's hitting more than one, and you'll see he can see probably a good half to 3/4 of that stone.
Ooh, Clock says some clubs have yellow and blue stones, which take you out of your comfort zone if you like red. Oh, gosh. What weird clubs they must be. I don't think we have those in Switzerland.
There's a club here in Switzerland where we played a championship one year, and every sheet had 2 different colors.
Yep.
There was orange, black, blue, red, yellow, green, and I believe purple.
Oh, I mean, that does sound fun as well. And Joel Retornaz can see all of that red. But he leaves himself
He was
open.
trying to roll in. Yeah, he was trying to roll in buried.
Yes, he was, but can Kyle Waddell now get to the inside of that yellow? Oh. Someone just took a tumble in front of me, but seems he's okay. The purple stones are popular. I would like to play with purple stones, actually, yeah.
It was a little bit weird. And I think there was orange and green on one sheet, which kind of was a clash.
Ew.
I think yellow and purple were on a sheet, and I think red and blue were on a sheet. I can't remember what the other color was. There was 4 sheets, but it was, and then of course the houses were all painted different colors as well.
Good heavens. You might come away with a bit of a sore head from that club.
He's trying to get the stone to curl, brushing it on the inside.
He'd rather get to the inside of this yellow,
want it
wouldn't
to go.
he? He's not going to, though. But if you want to get inside the quiz room, teehee, then look what's popped up on the screen. It's the trivia QR code. So if you want to join in the quiz room, scan that QR code or join us on the website. There's your game pin number. And at the conclusion of this end, we have 2 stones to come. We shall be doing halftime trivia.
You hear Waddell was yelling curl, and the player sweeping is behind the stone. He's sweeping in a vertical motion in the direction he wants the stone to curl. So he was sweeping on the inside a little bit, on the direction he wanted the stone to curl, trying to get the stone to take that path. Now,
I think he was having success, but just it was too big of a job, wasn't it?
On anything more than hack weight, it's really difficult to make the stones
Clean.
curl
Yep.
but
Oh. Yep.
on draw shots, certainly I think you can impact the end path of the stone.
Yes. Definitely, yeah, but yeah, here comes
So here they're
kind of a hack
sweeping
weight.
to keep it straight. They were sweeping to keep that one straight, so you'll notice that the other brusher was sweeping across the path of the stone, not with the path of the stone. Sweeping across the path of the stone on the opposite side of the curl. And that's what they do to try and hold it straight. They'll sweep across the path on the opposite side of the curl, trying to hold it straight. If they want it to curl, they'll sweep from behind down the path toward the direction they want it to curl.
And Al,
So
do you think that makes a difference at the club, or do you think that really only makes a difference at this kind of level when you've got these big fit guys and girls out there? Do you think it makes a difference at the club?
You have to be very fit. If you're using these brushes, which we're using now with the approved pads on them, which were invented to try and stop curl. If you're using that kind of pad, you have to be either very fast, like the Japanese women's team with incredibly fast strokes, or you have to put tremendous weight down on it, like these big guys do. At the club level, I know there's some clubs that haven't mandated use of the new brush heads, and there are still some players that can make stones significantly move.
And well done to sweepers and thrower there. What a shot from Kyle Waddell. That is a huge amount of work for
one.
For 1 point, but well done, Scotland. That they needed something on the board, really. They were throwing against, I think, 2 or 3 Italian counters, so they really needed something on the board. Great stone from Kyle Waddell to just settle everyone down. But that, sigh of relief. Good job, sir. But it is half time. It's halftime trivia. Here we go. Ooh. Oh, we have Kylie Waddell in the chat. I thought, I hope Kyle Waddell's concentrating on his game rather than quizzing. But it's the biggest prize of the weekend. If you are the quizmeister, you get to show off that you won this round. So it looks like the quiz room's busy. Rooms. Is it Sebastiano, Joel, Amos, or Mattia? And do you think that's because of a fiery Italian temper, or just because they're huge? I think I have seen one of them breaking a brush just because they were leaning on it so much, actually. And it just kind of snapped under the powerful weight. 5 seconds left. Who gets through a whole load of brooms? Oh gosh, most people think it's Big Amos Mazzana, and they are correct. So points to most people there. Mr. Jas, just out front there. 2nd out of 4. What do members of Retornaz like to snack during a game? We've seen most of the teams, well, at least admitting to sort of fruit and nuts and healthy things. What about the Italians? Protein bars, yogurt, bananas, or chocolate? Italian chocolate is very nice. I would quite like to snack on Italian chocolate during the game. The correct answer is protein bars. A lot of folks knowing that one. Let's see how that affects the leaderboard. And it is Jessica now who's in the lead with Sisal right behind. Well, 3rd question out of 4. What is Team Retornaz's strangest ritual? Do they keep on winning socks without changing, or keep on winning shirt without changing? I'm not sure I want to know the answer to this. I'm not pleased with either, truthfully.
Well, they probably keep on same underwear, too.
Oh, my goodness.
Disgust most people.
You know how boys are. I'm not sure girls have that
I know how
sort
boys
of
are.
suspicion. That's a superstition, pardon me. The correct answer is socks, which I think is slightly better than keeping same shirt. Points to several of you there. How does that affect... Oh, it's Sisal now who's taken over the lead, and Kylie Waddell still right behind. Last question. Which sport does Amos do in his free time? Is it squash, tennis, paddle, or mini golf?
What free time?
That's a good point. Well, I know they had 2 weeks off after last season. They had 2 weeks vacation. I wondered if it might be hiking, but maybe not anymore because Amos rolled an ankle, I think, when he was hiking with his dog and had to miss the World Mixed Doubles. So no more hiking for Amos. What does he do instead? We're just going to say Hugh G. Good for you. Kylie Waddell and Strammertelm are the runners-up. Thank you, quizzers. Stay tuned for another QR code in semi-finals. I will check if we have another one in this game. Otherwise, stay tuned for tomorrow's edition.
And so we got to the point now, Waddell knows he has to steal. He's put 2 guards up. Joel's got 1 in there, and we're at the 6th stone of the end. So now takeouts can be made.
Clog says they win a lot, so their feet must stink. And yeah, that's all I can think of now. Seeing them all out on ice is, do they have smelly feet against their opposition?
So great shot there. They've cleared everything but 1 wide Scottish stone, which isn't really going to scare them at all. So now you're going to see Team Waddell putting up center guards. And Retornaz is going to try and peel them in such a manner that he can also get that stone in the house. And he has the firepower to do that.
And that's the sticky path that Scotland are going down again. They've had a couple pulling up short here. And goodness me, is this going to make it into play? Oh, it's not. Oh, no.
Another one of those red stones. We've seen a few hogged red stones.
Yes,
and
we have,
I really do think that there is some mismatched stones out there, and these boys just haven't figured them out.
This is possible. And Kyle Waddell's
Most people
team
tend to... Human nature is that if there's a missed shot, the first thing you do is blame yourself.
Sure.
We'd like to blame ourselves and say we're not worthy. But sometimes you have to look elsewhere and actually ask yourself, I thought I threw that pretty close. You ask your brushers, hey brushers, I thought I threw that pretty close. And the brushers have to tell you, gee, when you let go of that, we thought you were
so
okay
yes.
too.
Yep.
So if the brushers thought it was okay and you thought you threw it okay and it didn't come up to where it should have come to, you have to stop thinking that, blaming yourself, and say there's another possibility, and that is that the stone isn't working the way we expect. So anytime a shot comes up short that you believe as a thrower, you go, gee, I thought I was pretty close. You need to ask your brushers. You need to ask your brushers what they saw on release. Did they think it was pretty good?
Figure out what needs to change. Is it really you? Or is there, maybe something different about that stone?
They might say, no, pal, you threw that really light. I say, okay.
Also possible.
But if they might say, no, we didn't think it was that light. So you need to have those discussions. That needs to be part of your team processes.
Yeah, that's good advice there. Even at the club, right? If one of your stones
Even
you feel is always cutting or maybe dropping a bit short, that's good advice to just notice that. But
and the brushers should volunteer that too when a stone comes.
True.
Like the brushers say, gee, I thought that was there when you let go. Well, if you thought it was there and I trust that you're a good brusher, then it's not me, it's the stone.
Although unfortunately for Mark
Taylor. Or if you
Taylor,
ask the skip, or if a stone over curls, you ask the skip, was that on the broom? And he says, yeah, I didn't realize it was going to curl that much. Nothing else has. Then hello, it's the stone.
Maybe it's a stone issue, yeah. But unfortunately for Mark Taylor, who threw that stone, he now has to buy everyone a round of drinks, according to the informal rule in Scotland.
Everyone, including all the people watching?
Oh my goodness. He will need to get his credit card out. There's, 176 of us watching here in the virtual club. That's going to be a big round for poor old Mark Taylor. Now, what's Joel Retornaz doing here, Al? So
Joel's just going to try and keep this as clean as possible. He's got last stone now, and he'd be happy to blank his way right to the end of the game. If he can blank this end, he'll he'll maintain last stone advantage right to the end of the game. So he's not going to try and score one here. He's going to just blanket. And he'll have last stone playing the sixth end, which is an even end, with a 3-point lead, which is a very comfortable spot.
Oh, look, Joe's bored himself. They're so far ahead, having a big yaw in there.
And they're now looking, you see them watching other games, not really watching their own sheet. He says, yeah, we got this. I know what the ice is doing. I know what I'm going to be playing.
Yeah, fairly easy tactics here for the remainder of this fifth end, that's clear. Rosanna in the chat. She is a big Team Retornaz fan. Thanks for your support, Rosanna. And Teresa asks, what is paddle? So that's the other sport that Amos has. Good question, Teresa. If anyone knows for sure, please advise. My initial thought is either maybe table tennis. I think some European places you can call that paddle because you use the paddle to hit the ball. Or I wonder if it's stand-up paddle. I will find out for sure. I do have 2 outstanding questions from getting to know Team Ramsfjell this afternoon. I'm still intrigued about how Magnus Ramsfjell broke the team's one and only broom, well, the one and only breakage of a broom in their team, having a battle with a door, and I did not make any progress figuring out what that meant.
I'm thinking he walked through the door with his broom out and it got caught, and he kept walking and the broom said, sorry, I'm not going any further.
Sounds like, yeah. Aha, yeah, my Swiss colleague here. Paddle, it's not quite table tennis, it's more like actual tennis, but with different rackets, with paddle rackets. There you go. So you can typically play it at the tennis club. You can play it here in Baden, in fact. Thanks for the info.
It looks like what we call here in North America, it looks a little like what we call pickleball.
Yes, I think that's exactly what it looks like, yes. I don't think you have it in Scotland.
The lines are a little bit different in pickleball. There's 2 lines, and one is called the kitchen, which you're not allowed to be in the kitchen.
Well, thank goodness, that's not for me.
Or at least you're not allowed to.
Mark. Hard mark.
And perhaps slightly different rules, but it looks similar. It looks like indoor tennis with a different kind of ball and a different kind of racket, more like a paddle.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I just Googled it. Mr. Google told me all of this.
Okay.
Mr. Google told me this and showed me some pictures.
Well, gosh, we're finding out all sorts of things together this evening. If you've got a cool fact for us, we love fun facts here in the virtual club. Feel welcome to share.
Yeah, the pictures show it indoor mostly, but also shows a couple of outdoor courts. So I'm guessing in Italy in the summertime, outdoor would be the place you'd want to play it.
Sounds very nice.
Oh, sorry.
And that will be the final throw of the fifth end. And just as Al talks us through, blanking that end.
So Waddell is going to try from the fifth end, put up a couple of guards. He knows he's got a steal. We're all watching a very interesting end going there in sheet 1.
Yeah, the local crowd going wild over this end.
All eight players on sheet 2 were watching that finish of that end, or at least the shot that was just being played.
There is, it looks like, from my angle, 1 stone still to throw. James Craik has 1 throw left in their fifth end over on sheet 1. James Craik 3-2 ahead over Michael Brunner's team.
So the tactics are very clear now for Team Waddell. They need to put 2 stones on the center line that are 1 near the house and 1 near the hog line that are going to be difficult to double peel. And Team Retornaz, on the other hand, is going to throw probably a couple of stones in the house, maybe on the side, because they don't want to clutter up the center. And then they're going to start peeling and try and keep the the sheet as clean as possible. So they maybe don't want to go in the center. He might.
Line's really good, boys. Get it tight.
So they're trying to play the tight stone first. A little bit lighter than they wanted. They'd really want that one right down to the logo is there. So it makes the double peel much more difficult.
Yeah, that's
Joel's
sort of
is
neither
gonna-
one nor the other, is it? It's not so close to house,
Yeah.
and it's not so far from house either.
So Joel's going to throw probably 2 stones on the top of the 4-foot. Which lead Mattia Giovinella has been doing very well this whole game.
Yeah, he's been a super
The
addition
Brushers just
to the Italian team, Mattia. Just standing off this one a little bit. I think it's there all by itself.
right front button, front of the tee line. Because that guard's halfway, Kyle's not going to throw another one because it'd be a double peel, be too easy. So he's going to make a play on the stone in the house. He's going to try and freeze it, maybe tap it back a bit.
There's some
He knows the
helpful
guard
advice.
still can't be. The guard still can't be removed. And putting up another guard in a double peel situation isn't really going to be that helpful. So he's going to go right in here.
Helpful tactic for we who are watching and learning. If your first guard is sort of neither close to the house nor far away from the house, leave it there and let's go into the house with our second throw here. Don't just set up a double guard for a double takeout.
Yeah, it would be tough to put a guard in place that couldn't be double peeled. Well, Joel still can't peel the guard, but then come down in the house. I'm surprised he's not actually trying to tap the redstone a little bit to free it off the yellow. If it was me, I'd be trying to tap that stone.
And punch
maybe
the yellow
back
behind.
4 foot. Push the yellow out of the 4 foot, so it's not going to be anything that Waddell can freeze on, and have yours frozen on Waddell's shot, and maybe open it up a bit. If they're playing just a straight freeze, that's
Something
pretty
like
good.
that. Yep.
A little bump, maybe. And he'll be peeling that guard off on the next shot.
Oh, Archie has a fun fact for us. His teammate Oren Carson has a handicap of 6, presumably at golf. Fascinating. Thanks, Archie. And Gareth tells us about a new sport called tech ball, which is football table tennis. We are just learning all kinds of cool stuff this evening. I told you that's why I like quarter-final round. Saturday night, everyone's in a good mood, and we've got 4 games of curling to see. Well, I can tell you why. There was much interest over on sheet 1. That was a steal of 1 to Michael Brunner's team in the 5th end, and that means they have levelled the score after 5 ends. It is James Craik 3, Michael Brunner 3.
Yeah, the Rocks, I think, must have been in a very interesting position to get all 8 players from the next sheet standing and watching.
Quite so. Yeah, sheet 1's the only one we can't see, and that's the furthest from me as well. So it's a little bit hard to always figure out what's going on, especially if there are lots of stones in play. Rosa has a fun question. Have you ever seen a game with more than 6 blank ends? Yes, Rosa, I have, because I'm from the 1980s. I'm sure Al has as well, because we learned curling a while ago. These days, no.
These days, not so much, but I have seen a game where one team blanked 7 ends, and then the other team stole 1 in the 8th end to win.
Yep. Back in the 80s, you could just about tell who was going to win by who won the coin toss. That was before free guard zone. A lot of our viewers may not be familiar with that. The free guard zone has not always been a thing. That came in the 90s for exactly that reason, because basically everyone was completely bored with watching blank end after blank end, but too conservative to have courage to do something differently. So I think really everybody breathed a sigh of relief when the free guard zone was introduced. I think about 92, was it, Al? Something like that.
Yeah, we can thank Team Pat Ryan for that change. Pat Ryan, 1988-89 Brier winner in Canada, and many Bonspiels. They won the 1989 Brier final against Rick Folk in Saskatoon. I was there. Yes, I'm that old. Ryan got 2 in the first end. Folk got 1 in the second. And they were 10 end games. And Ryan blanked the rest of the ends to win 2-1.
Yep.
And there was no free guard zone, so the first rock went up as a guard, and Ryan's team just peeled everything for 8 ends in a row. Folk never had a chance, and the people in Saskatoon Arena were booing.
Yeah,
people in Saskatoon Arena were booing the whole time because it was yelling out boring. So at that point,
they were not wrong.
You know, curling officials got together and said we have to do something against that. The fact that almost no teams could blank 8 ends in a row except for Pat Ryan's team, and they were called the Ryan Express, and they were incredibly accurate. The fact that no other team could do that, but there is one dominating team that did that, made them change the rule to get stones in play. They came up with a few different options and settled on what we now call the 5 rock rule.
Yeah, it started off as 4, of course, but then, these big teams, even that wasn't enough. You know, they finally were able to spray all the 4 stones out, or rather they were spraying all the stones out after 4 stones, so it had to go up to 5 rock-free guard zone.
And then another rule that recently has come into play last year is because teams were getting so good at moving the guards off the center line and rolling them to the side, they said, you know, we want to have a little more excitement than that.
The tick
so
shot,
they've come up with this no tick rule. So if your team stone is touching the center line, it cannot be moved off the center line. I'm not sure everybody agrees with it, and I think there's probably going to be changes to that rule over time.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because
my wife has suggested that you can only tick stones that are on the center line.
That's an interesting idea.
So if it comes up and it's not on the center line,
then you have to leave it. That
you have to leave it there. But if it's on the center line, yes, you can.
That's interesting. But to be honest, even the 5 rock rule, never mind the no tick rule, your average club colour, even a half decent club colour, none of us need that for a rule. It's only these teams at the top level that need a 5 rock rule and a no tick rule. The rest of us normal people, we actually don't need it. So that it just shows you the gap in a way between a good club colour and a competitive team at this level.
Yeah, and so curling is evolving. You know, in the last 30 years, it's been 3 significant rule changes, which I don't know of many sports that have done that.
I think particularly the free guard zone, that really changed things. Suddenly you had to have some sort of tactic other than just some sort of demolition man at second.
Exactly. Yeah, all players have to be able to make all shots, although leads primarily are draw players. Everybody else in the team has to be able to make all the in-between shots, the tap weights and the big weights and draws, precision draws. So right now, team return is sitting 1. Waddell's trying to figure out how he's going to steal one here, because even if there's no guards in play, it's going to be tough for him to get shot the way the angles are sitting in the house. Retornaz is happy with the angles in the house, so he's just going to peel the guards and wait for Waddell to make some kind of play on the stones in the house, which he's going to have to do pretty soon. And then he'll respond to whatever Waddell does. But right now he's just happy to keep the center open, and the angles in the house are all in favor of Team Retornaz right now.
That's right, and as Al said, even in the 5th end, Italy, they don't need to take any risks. They don't need to set anything up. It's the Scots boys who have to bring the game to them. It's Scotland who are still 3 points behind. They have to bring the game to Italy, and Italy quite content to just sit and wait and respond to what Scotland are doing.
Yeah, Waddell's going to I think it's going to take him 1 or 2 shots to really put any pressure on. I think he has to get in there and play some kind of freeze where top of the button where his brush is. So really precise shot, absolutely perfect. I don't think he'll be shot. He might be, could tap it back maybe a couple of centimeters, but really needs to freeze one in there.
While we're having a Waddell family conference, I will update you on sheets 3 and 4. You can see those on the static cam. And after 5 ends on sheet 3, it is currently unbeaten Ross Whyte's team from Scotland. KG Affair out there playing 3-man Yannick Schwaller. It is Ross Whyte's team who stole one in the 5th end, and they are now an important 4 points to 2 ahead. Over on sheet 4, it is Cameron Bryce's team, also from Scotland. They are playing Magnus Ramsfjell's team from Norway. As we would expect, another very close encounter. And oh, no, it isn't. In the time for me to say that, Cameron Bryce's team have just put a gigantic 4 on the board, and they are now leading the Norwegians 8 points to 3. Well, goodness. As I said, Cameron Bryce's team have just been quietly demolishing everybody this weekend.
I think that is tight ice though.
And goodness me, they are now 5 points clear of the Norwegians in their 6th
Just
end.
try to chip it and then that goes wherever it goes.
You know, the strength of the Scottish teams, it just shows you that there's a national training centre in Stirling that I believe is open almost 12 months of the year with coaching and video analysis and coaches to work with the teams. And so they've chosen probably a half dozen teams or so that have gone there and worked with them. So everybody curls near Stirling now. They get exceptional training, exceptional coaching, and it's starting to show in not just Bruce Mowatt's team, but there's 4 or 5 or 6 other teams just right behind them ready to take his crown.
There sure are. Yeah, we don't have the world champions with us. But as mentioned, Kyle Waddell, he is the reigning world champion. He's alternate in Bruce Mowatt's team. But yeah, all 4 of these Scottish teams snapping at the heels of Bruce Mowatt's team. It's not that Mowatt's team go out and just cheerfully win every game. Not at all. It's that they make ever so slightly fewer mistakes. They are millimetre perfect. But yeah, all 4 of these teams with a great platform here this weekend to show what they can do.
So it's a pretty good shot in there. He's trying to set something up for his next one. He's still left Team Retornaz a shot stone. Well, Retornaz has some options. I think he's going to play his own Yellowstone at the top of the 4-foot into the, or he could play one directly. But Retornaz is quite happy to score 1 here.
Yeah, just scoring something is fine. Then their Scots are starting to run out of ends. We will play an extra end. If the Scots can bridge this gap and scores are level after 8 ends, we will play an extra end.
As I said, there's no timeouts and no coaches, so teams have to make all these decisions by themselves, so they'll have a little conference between the 4 of them, so they have 4 brains working instead of 5. It's interesting to watch the brooms fly around when all the players get in there and start pointing at different things.
Yeah, it can become quite difficult to follow the conversation when 4 different brooms are going through the scenarios.
And basically, a good skip will just listen to everybody and not say anything. Just listen to everybody and see what's everybody saying, what do they maybe see that I don't see, and then weigh the option in his own mind and figure out, okay, of all those things that they talked about, here's the one that I think makes the most sense, and here's the one I really want to throw.
Well, that's important as well, yeah. It depends a little bit. It's your throw. Do you feel like going for the hit or the draw or the raise? Or
Yeah, so a good skip doesn't take the lead in any of those discussions. A good skip will just listen. Weigh all the information.
No, more listening coming.
And at the end of the day, he has to decide what one he really wants to throw, but he shouldn't really make his decision until after he's heard anything. Sometimes the skip will make a decision, I want to do this, I want to do this, and really don't listen to what the players are saying. So you really have to have an open mind, listen to all the options, think them through and say, yeah, you know, that's really a good play. I really like that one. It's going to put us in a good position, and it's one I can throw. And then once you've made your decision, really commit to it, buy into it, commit to it.
Yeah, I
and
don't like
then
to
take
see
that
that.
down the ice.
I don't like to see that coming back to discuss it again. I don't have
Well,
the
obviously,
data.
he had a couple of
but-
shots. He had a couple of shots in his mind, and he really had to get
Right.
into
You have to
committing
commit
on
to
what
it,
he
yeah.
wanted to throw.
I'm not sure even how many shots typically work after a timeout, to be honest. I would need to see the data on that.
Oh, clean.
It's interesting. They give you that data at World Curling Championships, and some teams they say success after a timeout. And so if you're the coach of a team and it says you've had 10 timeouts and the average percentage make after a timeout is 40%,
Don't
you better
bother.
rethink how you better rethink how you do your timeouts.
Yeah. Or
So
is
they
it
do
worth
show you
calling a
that
timeout?
percentage. Yeah, and it's quite interesting to see.
Definitely.
Different teams have quite different, and some of the percentages are actually quite low. And
Yeah,
that might be
I find
about
that not surprising because you lose the rhythm. You know, you spend too much time chatting and you've lost the rhythm. The ice is, nobody's thrown a stone for a couple of minutes. I'm still completely ambiguous about timeouts.
I think sometimes too that there's a lot of confusion. By the time the coach has left, nothing's really been decided, and so it leaves the team in a confused state. I've seen too many timeouts, so I have a rule that I go by when I'm coaching a team, that we have to make a decision on the shot by 35 seconds. So we make the decision on the shot by 35 seconds, and then we talk a little bit about how we're going to make it so that the player throwing is committed to it. And if time presents itself at the end, we'll talk about next shots after that, depending on whose shot was what it is. But making the decision on the shot within 35 seconds of a 1 minute timeout is critical to success.
Good advice there. If you are going to use a timeout, if you're going to willingly disrupt the rhythm of your game, let's get it right, shall we?
So Waddell can easily get shot by hitting the outside Yellowstone and pushing the shots through, but he said he'll just leave same shot back for
a bundle.
For Retornaz. And so he's going to try and freeze in and tap that Yellowstone back a couple of centimeters to perhaps hit two. This is a very, very difficult shot. But I think the circumstances of being down 3-1 have dictated this shot. But an incredibly difficult shot.
Yeah, this is now a knockout
This
round.
has to be absolutely precise by the thrower, the caller, and the brushers. All four players got to make this shot. This isn't a one-man show here.
Last throw for Kyle Waddell in this pivotal sixth end. A brave call from him.
Team communication is critical to making this shot.
Line!
Appears to be over curving perhaps a little bit.
It's come up short is the problem, I think. Has that found a good spot though? I think Joe Retornaz, can grab a piece of the button for a 2. And that really would be a mountain to climb if Joe Retornaz can nail this shot. Then it's surely all but a game over for the battling Scots team.
Yeah, the angle's really never set up for Team Waddell, and I think they had to, rather than play freezes in there, I think they had to move those stones back a bit to give themselves some room to score. It's not always about freeze. Sometimes bumping a stone just the back of the forefoot earlier in the end will give you something later in the end. Freezing on stones in the front of the tee line is never really a good option, in my opinion.
It's a risky one for sure.
I like the line of this shot.
Aspetta, c'è spazio. 14 e mezzo. C'è spazio al momento,
Constant communication again. The This is going to break a few Scottish hearts.
Linea perfetta. Ah, bel tiro.
Oh, look at
As
that.
I
Take
said-
a bow, Joe Retornaz.
Joel Returner's bread and butter shot is a draw to the button. He is so good at that shot that, and I think he loves throwing it. Now he gets in the hack with huge confidence, throwing a draw to the button.
Yep.
The Brushers have confidence in him, and they sure managed that stone down the ice. I heard Joel just talking as a skip. He wasn't yelling yes or no. He just kept yelling that the line was great, and let the Brushers brush it in.
Yeah, I think Gareth's dream of Scotland finishing 1, 2, 3 and 4, hanging by a thread now. I think one of the Scottish teams, they're going to have to come up with some magic here, or I think their competition will close at this stage. But playing on for a 7th end, try to set something up.
6 end, down 5 points. He needs at least 3 to have any kind of chance to win this game. He has to get within 2 points, and stealing 2 is going to be a huge mountain, but is a doable thing. So his goal this end is somehow get 3 points. 2 is just not going to do it.
I fully agree. If we see anything less than 3, I think this could be the final end of this quarter final. And we had a question from Pittilin, who had the best draw shot challenge of the round robin. I have been looking for you, Pittilin, and I actually can't find that information. What I can tell you is that Retornaz, Whyte and Bryce, they are the teams that finished with 4 wins out of 4 in the round robin. Only those 3 teams. All the other teams finished on 3. Therefore, Craik and Brunner placed 4 and 5, meaning they had, let me think about this, the 2nd and 3rd best draw shot out of the teams on 3. Beyond that, I can't quite tell. I shall try to find that out though, because that's certainly how we figured out who plays who. Okay. The team ranked top,
I've
which
got
is
that,
one of.
I've
oh,
got
you do?
that off. I've got that off the website from badenmasters.ch.
I've been looking.
Team
Where is
Craik.
it?
Oh, it's a secret hiding place. Can't
It
tell you.
must be.
I've got Team Craik number 1 at an average of
Yes, they were, yes.
8.93 centimeters.
Yep, they topped the pile, but
So you
because
think 8.93 centimeters.
they had that one loss, so yes, they're top of the pile for draw shot, but they end up 4th in the table because of 3 teams who won all their games. Yeah, but carry on.
So what happens with the draw shot challenge is they throw 4 shots. Their worst one is thrown out. So they only take their best 3 of 4 that count for the total draw shot challenge. So they were 8.93 centimeters. Team Retornaz was 2nd at 16.13 centimeters. Team Brunner of Switzerland, were 3rd at 18.17. Team Goesgens of the Netherlands were 4th at 22.17. Team Italy, Switzerland, 5th. Team Bryce of Scotland were 7th, 29.5. Team Schwaller, 30.13, were 8th. Team Ramsfjell were 10th, 36. Team Waddell were 12th, 39.3. Team Whyte Scotland, 41.4, were in 13th place. And I believe that's all our qualifiers.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you can find that. You can find that under the badenmasters.ch.
Can you? I've been looking. Well, I'm happy that Al was able to navigate and inform us. I hope that helps you out, Pittilin.
It's under the actual resulte.
I don't seem to have the same homepage. Never mind. That's where you can find it, badenmasters.ch. That's all the event information. And it looks like Dennis in the chat. Ciao, he says. I think he maybe means goodbye to the Scottish team. Harsh but fair from Dennis there. Strong start for Scotland though. Those 2 guards placed just where they wanted them from Gavin Barr. He's done all he can to help his team grab some points back in this game. But we have our first semi-final qualifiers. And cheery news for Scottish fans, it is Cameron Bryce.
Keep going.
Cameron Bryce's team.
Another team.
Yep, just quietly thumping everybody. They are first off the ice. They are first into the semi-finals.
Good.
I will confirm the score once we see it, but it is a win for Cameron Bryce's team of Scotland. Unbeaten in the round robin, unbeaten in this quarter-final, and we say goodbye to our Norwegian team, skipped by Magnus Ramsfjell.
So the way that Waddell can get 3 is now he's going to go around the other corner guard. He assumes that Retornaz will hit the open one, and then he can put a second stone behind the one corner guard. Alternatively, Joel might peel the other corner guard, in which case there'd be 2 stones across the house, and then Waddell could hit the stone at the back and sit 3 stones across the house.
Really
and hope
hard!
Retornaz
Just like
doesn't
that.
make a double.
Keep going.
He's trying to get 2 stones behind one corner guard.
Al knows the drill. He just needs the people to do it. But congratulations,
So that
Cameron
one-
Bryce. Another thumping performance from them. The final score is 8 points to 4 to Cammy Bryce's team from Scotland. They are the first team qualified for semi-final. We will see them tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So early night for you boys. The Norwegians, well, maybe they can have a beer.
So Joel's going to try and make a double takeout on the guard and the one on the far left of the house. He's saying you need about a quarter of this top one to make the double. But he just wants to make the guard go away. And they actually hit more like 2/3 of it, but you'll see that with that speed, the shooter rolls
That's
right
enough,
out.
yeah.
Now, those of us at the club, when we hit it 2/3 of it with our heavy takeout weight, which is usually somewhere near the back bumper or the barrier, our shooter will only roll off a couple of feet.
Exactly, yeah. It really just shows you, the speed some of these boys can throw at. Even in slow motion, the stone is still blurred. And it's really a different game up here compared with at the club. You simply can't rely on that kind of firepower.
Next time you go to the club, have a look at the hitting band on your stones to see how wide it actually is and whether it's actually a little bit convex. You'll see on these ones, you can see the light gray hitting area. It looks to be about maybe 3.5 centimeters wide.
Good.
But it's a little bit convex, so that amount of stone isn't making contact.
Not much.
And if yours is flat down the side, then your stones are making a lot more contact and they won't roll as far.
I'm sure that's the only explanation, Al.
And
that's
of course,
the chief contributor.
rotation really helps the stones spin off as well.
Also true, also true. We have 3 quarterfinals left on the ice. Everyone is in their 7th end. James Craik continues to lead. Michael Brunner, 4 points to 3. How important is that 2 that they scored in the first end? Ross Whyte's team continues to lead. Yannick Schwaller's team, 4 points to 2. A blank end for them in the 6th. Looks
this
like
is not a
like
peel
a
weight
blank end
shot.
coming in the 7th.
This is not a peel weight shot for Retornaz. He's trying to hit and roll in for second shot. And that will force Kyle Waddell to make a double somewhere along the line. They don't want to go too far, but they want enough to be second shot. And he's done that. So it's now a very tough double. So Waddell, you'll probably see him freeze the back one. So you'll see Waddell freeze the back one, I think. Then he'll have one behind the guard and one frozen.
Almost don't mind this.
Or he's going to try and freeze
Yeah,
that
like
one.
that, Al? Freeze that front one. Keep that
I'd kind of
one
like
safe up
freezing the
front.
back one.
Yeah.
'Cause I know Joel's going to throw a hit.
Like that.
This is true.
Either freeze it or tap it back. I mean, you tap that Yellowstone back 12 foot and leave your red one in front of it. Returners will hit it and probably roll out. And then you'll have 2 stones
I
behind
think
the
this is the
tee line
shot.
to freeze
Then
onto.
if he blasts that, we can use the corner.
There you go. All clear.
He's going to freeze the one at the back of the house. Would be my call.
Gioca a freezer, non mi dico, Giocherà al freezer adesso.
Jacob just confirming. Bryce just beat Ramsfjell 8-4. I'm convinced I just said that. But thank you for confirming, Jacob.
Line's good.
Clock saying Bryce is destroying everyone this weekend. He really is, Clock, yeah. I know we've not had many chances to look at Cameron and Bryce, but yeah, I'm not sure anyone's got them to 8 ends.
Needs to curl a little bit. They rubbed off the front one. Sure see Joel just peel that out.
I
or
think
maybe
so.
perhaps roll over.
Yep. There's a big
roll over to the
space.
side of the 8 foot and sit 3. Which will
There's a
take
big
the
space
3.
to pop that red.
Take a 3 out of play.
No, io lo puoi fare su questa però.
So this could be
3
a bit
out
of a
of
game
play
winner.
forward.
Questo in poi lo puoi fare. Questa però.
If he rolls over, though, to the left side where the Matthias Broom is, it will leave a double on the 2 yellows and potentially a double and roll behind the corner guard.
They need some kind of magic indeed.
Which Waddell will probably have to take on if he wants to get 3. So he's going to roll over to near the tee line into the 8 foot there, just behind the tee line. And that will leave a double for Waddell and hopefully a double and a spin up behind the corner guard.
And they may as well go for it in the 7th end. As you said, Al, really anything less than a 3, I don't think that's going to be enough for the Scottish boys. So they may as well go for it.
A 3 is mandatory. So if Joel makes the roll here, Waddell still has a chance. He's going to have to throw a great looking shot though.
Hi! Hi!
Oh, and we have another mistake from Benoit Schwartz on sheet 3. They were trying to go for a blank in the 7th end, but they have accidentally stuffed the final PO. They have picked up 1 shot. So on sheet 3, it is Ross Whyte leading Yannick Schwaller 4 points to 3. It is Ross Whyte who has last stone in this 8th end.
I think Waddell has to take the double on here. If he just hits and rolls over on top of it, Joel can just draw and prevent. Joel doesn't really mind giving up 2.
I agree.
He just wants to prevent a 3. So if Waddell just makes the hit and roll, Joel just draw another one in there.
And if Scotland can make 2 points here, Al, do you think they should run Italy should run them out of stones? Should they continue with the 8th end, see what happens, or do you think the elegant thing to do is to shake hands?
I think they'd probably continue, but I'm not sure they will. I think he's got to take the double on here. If you make the double and roll up behind the corner guard, is a possible shot. And I think he has to make that now.
I feel they may as well go for it, yep.
I think that's the only way 3's in play.
Nothing to lose here, boys.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they've called that, though. I think they've called the hit and roll freeze.
Oh, okay, okay. As we said, Sven Michael from Yannick Schwaller's team over on sheet 3. Sven Michael at a wedding today. He's been given time off to go to the party. I'm not sure if he'll be keeping up with the score, but at the moment, looking like they might not need Sven at all.
If anybody knows who's getting married, it'd be kind of interesting to know.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe one of my old Swiss friends is getting married. I didn't get the invitation.
Well, this is much more fun, Al. Oh, my goodness. This is an absolute screamer from Kyle Waddell.
And
oh, my goodness.
They might shake hands right here. The only thing that Retornaz can't do is set up a quadruple, but it'd only be for 2 anyway.
A quadruple for 2 is an awful lot of hard work, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of too much work for the result you get.
I think, yeah, we shall see Italy just putting up some sort of blocker. We'll see Kyle Waddell elegantly draw for his one.
It's like building a 1 foot high fence for to keep a dog in the yard. So if this stone goes in the house, Waddell might not even throw his last one. He might just shake hands. I don't think there's a triple there right now.
There is not. I would like to see, though, Kyle Waddell just finish it off with a nice draw to the 1 foot and shake hands from there. I think that's the professional way of finishing.
I don't know if they would agree with you.
Let's see. I'm not sure what the Scottish programme is for, game etiquette or when to decide, okay, this game's beyond us.
Yeah, I think they might just shake hands right here.
Continua. Okay. Oh.
There's nothing for 2. He's just going to draw for 1, I think.
Yeah, just draw to the 4 foot, sir.
What do you try to do the double and try to spin it?
Matthias asking about previous shot. He's not suggesting some new plan for some sort of miraculous final throw. Yeah, this is the elegant way to finish it. Draw to the 4 foot, Scotland.
So you want the same speed as that one I just threw?
We may see Scotland play on, force Italy to run them out of stones, but -4 going into the 8th end.
Without last stone.
Yeah, I feel like let's finish strong here. Nice draw to the 4 foot. And that is enough.
Nice shot.
It's a lovely shot from Kyle Waddell. Good for you, sir, to finish with a nice draw to the button, but that is enough for Scotland. They had a bit of an uphill battle this evening, but thank you for entertaining us, Team Scotland. Congratulations, Team Retornaz. They were fuming when Benoit Schwartz beat them on his own last year. So good for them. Our second qualifiers for semi-finals. We have 2 more games still out there. Ross Whyte is leading at Yannick Schwaller. James Craik is leading Michael Brunner. Good news if you're a Scotland fan. Keep eyes on the scores on the Actuel tab on the website. But congratulations, Team Retornaz. They have avenged their annoying defeat at this point last season. We will see them in the semi-final. We will see Cameron Bryce from Scotland in the semi-final. I hope we will see all of you in the semi-final. Come back and join us. It is 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, European. Al, I think you will probably be going to bed at that point, right? That will be sort of midnight or 1 in the morning for you. So
that'll kind of be midnight. Yeah, midnight.
So let's all say thank you very much to Al for joining us all this weekend.
My pleasure.
It's been great fun having you, Al. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm sure we shall hear from Al next time. And do join us back at 9 o'clock in the morning for the semi-finals. Thanks for joining us this evening. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Aargau Topsport und Tele1 präsentieren die 23. Ausgabe vom Baden Masters vom 17. bis zum 20. August. Zum Saisonauftakt treffen die Baden die besten Schweizer Göller auf die Weltelite. 20 Weltklasse-Teams, Nervenkitzel pur, der Kampf um jeden Millimeter, grosse Emotionen, einfach Görling-Weltklasse. Direkt vor der Haustür und am Freitag, 18. August auf Tele1. Das Baden Masters wird präsentiert von Swisslos Sport von Aargau, V-Zug, dem Schweizer Haushaltsgerätehersteller und Schop mit ihren Profis für Gartenbau, Spengerei und Flachdach.